Great. Hey, お願いします。And up. And side to side. So. Hey, eat the shoulders. So, circles one way. Circles the other way. Hey, arms. And back. Oh. Front. Hey. Back. So the other side. One side. And the other side. Cross. Open and close. So, hey, Taisabaki. Handai. Ryoko. Tenchi. Hey, Yoko. Hey, this. Now remember, we're going to practice, breathing, deep breathing in 3 positions during the warm-up. One will be standing, the other one will be squatting, and then the last one will be on your knees. So each of them allow us to link our breathing with a particularly important element of our body. So when we're standing, okay, we're going to breathe in, and we're going to do the most basic concept, which is breathe in, expand your thoracic box. Your thoracic box, your diaphragm goes down, so all your organs expand, creating space, and making space, making the thoracic box big. And then you breathe out, and especially because you're hinging, that will squeeze until you're on out of air. So the first exercise, standing up, is in order to expand your thoracic area, okay, by the use of the diaphragm, and then to compress that area by squeezing and hinging on the diaphragm, okay? So hands down, breathing in, expand, 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 and breathe out. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Breathe in, expand, breathe out. Squeeze. Breathe in, expand. Breathe out, squeeze. Hey, hands up and forward and down. Your knees on the back. So. And circles all the way. Circles the other way. And go to the side. Change. Again. Change. And go front and back. Front, back, front, back. Open your toes, lower your hips, and up, down, up, down. And this is the next part where we can practice your deep breathing in this position because you're on your tippy toes. It's a very ungrounded position. So you are not firmly on the ground, you're just barely holding. Therefore, we have to focus on our center of gravity in order to keep our balance. If anything disturbs us sideways or forward, we will lose our balance very easily. So in this position, it's a very unbalanced. You're on your tippy toes, squatting. Therefore, the need to focus on your center of gravity to balance our body is important. But with that sensation in mind, then now we do another breathing. So breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, and up. So the first breathing was to associate breathing with the use of the diaphragm, primarily the expansion of the thoracic box and the contraction of it. The second breathing is to associate breathing with the state of being balanced while being ungrounded, which is an important part of the training. And then we will do one more breathing exercise in a few minutes. So open your legs, lower your hips. So. 8, then one side. Down. Down, open the other side. Down. And raising your hips. Down. Hips up. Down. One more time, hips up. And your spine. Hands close to your body, slowly, vertebra by vertebra. Shoulders back, head up. And making circles. And the other side. Opening your legs side to side. Go. One side. And the other side. And toes up. And the other side. And hands in front. Change. Again, in front. Knee down. Sitting. Change to the other side. And in front. Knee down. Sitting. Sure. Open your legs. Elbows down. Come forward. And back. Forward. Hips up. Hips down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Back. Turn one side. Then the other side. One side. Then the other side. One side. And the other side. Side to side. So the next exercise, I'm really bad at it and I really suck, but because of that, I have to do it. So is when we are sitting in Seiza and go back towards your hands or your shoulders, so your hands or your elbows or all the way to your shoulders, depending how much flexibility you have. It's one of the 5 exercises that appear in the Makoho, in the basic set of exercises that we have done in the past in other videos. But it's also one of the exercises that is pretty constant in all Home Dojo classes. Doshu and Dojo Cho do it in every class, and most other teachers also do it. So anyway, there must be something important about it. I'm just really bad at it. So the idea is you stay in Seiza, okay, and then you go back, as far as you can. If sometimes we're so stiff that we can only go back as little as this, which is just our hands. If you can go to your elbows, go to your elbows. If you can go comfortably all the way to your shoulders, go all the way to your shoulders. Okay? So going backwards, please. So. And coming up. And stretch forward. And the reason why I say that I'm bad at the exercise is because I'm bad. I can only go up to my shoulders. I cannot really go up to my elbows. I cannot really go all the way to my shoulders. And even there, the front of my knees kind of just pop up. So I know that I'm bad because those things happen. But really, the reason that tells me that I am bad is that I don't like it. And as most people, I don't like doing things that I'm not good at. So that's what really tells me, now you are really bad at that because you don't really like doing it. So, so that's a good kind of morning practice. Okay, the last breathing exercise, well, almost the last one. Last breathing exercise is now sitting, where now we experience not being, a little bit ungrounded and out of and trying to keep our balance, but being very grounded. So having your knees on the ground, your legs on the ground, and this position, which allows us 3 points of contact, which is your knees and your coccyx sitting on your feet. So it's a 3-point of contact position. It should feel really grounded, connected to the floor. Okay, and in this position, we experience the breathing. So breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, One more time, breathing in, breathing out. And sides. So it's very important to be aware of the participation of breathing throughout the entire training process, because sometimes people really wishes that there were more breathing exercises in Aikido, and we basically do breathing exercises all the time, not just in selected phases, because in this little sequence that I explained, you stand up and first of all you identify your breathing with basic concepts of breathing, which is breathing through your nose a little bit more than through your mouth, paying attention to your inhalation, your holding, your exhalation, and your emptiness, paying attention to the rhythms of breathing. And then finally, when you're standing up, you pay attention to the expansion of your diaphragm and the contraction of your diaphragm. So those ideas while standing up help you to tap into the basics of correct breathing, correct way of breathing, kokyuho, basically correct way of breathing. And then, you have a couple of more opportunities, as I say, when you are squatting on your tippy toes, experience what it is to be balanced but not grounded, and associate breathing with that capacity, the capacity of being, balanced, although you are a little bit wobbly and a bit grounded, which is important, a neural link to make, in our training. And then you come down, and it's the opposite. Now you're not only balanced, but you're also really grounded because you're fully in contact with the floor, and associate breathing with that sensation, with the sensation of being grounded. So those are the three obvious ones. And then one that gets really constantly forgotten is kokyu dosa. Through the entire process of warming up, and really through the entire process of the class, you're going to be moving, and you should be somehow matching or harmonizing, your breathing with whatever physical movement you are performing. You breathe in some moments, you breathe out. You breathe in, you breathe out. So really, there is a perpetual demand of harmonizing breathing with movements. We call kokyu dosa. And then there are specific moments in the warm-up, especially, where you practice other characteristics of breathing and relevant associations with certain states of the body. So that's how breathing is perpetually happening in training. All right. So this time, let's just do a quick, lower upper body, middle body, lower body set of exercises. So we're going to start with a push-up, but we're going to go in this push-up form. You go from you go up into your hips. Okay, you go down. Okay, and you basically come back, go forward, and do a push-up, and then come back into your heels, go forward, do a push-up. So okay, so it's a little bit more motion, and it allows you to decompress the back at the same time. So going back. Coming forward, push up, back, forward, 2, back, forward, 3, back, forward, 4, back, forward, 5, back, forward, 6, back, forward, 7, back, forward, 8, back, forward, 9, back, forward, 10, back, forward, 11, back, forward, 12, back, 13, back, 14, back, 15, back, 17, back, 18, back, 19, back, 20, and relax. So, hey, all right, sitting down, lying down, back. Our good dead box. Remember the order is engaging core muscles, raising arms, raising legs, okay? And in that position, opposite dead box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Same sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Grab your knees, come up, bend your knees, and twists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. And standing up. All right, this time squats. 3 different forms of squats we're going to do. So in the basic concept of a squat, it's really good to try to go as low as possible. You know, you have your squat as deep as possible, but at least try to go, you know, with these little cues. So if you put your hands in front and you sit your hands on your chin and your elbows are down, okay, your legs open up, you go down until the point where your elbows naturally touch your legs. Okay, so if you go here, there's a gap between my elbow and my leg. If you go here, you're already past your leg. So that's a deep, deep squat. So for the moment, just here, elbows down, elbows at some point will touch the leg. You touch the leg and you can get up again. Okay, so down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing, but instead of just coming up to our feet, we're going to continue to our tippy toes, just waking up a little bit those calf muscles. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now, instead of just going up in our tippy toes, we're going to do a little explosive jump at the end, a plyometric exercise. So you go down into your squat, and then you end up with a little jump at the end. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And all right. So good. So you can, that's only one set. So we have done this morning. But if you do something simple like that, you know, an upper body exercise, a lower body exercise, and a middle body and a lower body exercise every day, it's a good general maintenance of your body. In addition to that, decompress, mobility exercise, and a little bit of cardiovascular. The plyometric jumps kind of help with that cardiovascular diet a tiny bit. So anyway, so that's the important thing. So during the week, we were talking a lot about the idea of connection. And we were basically exploring it mostly from the ukemi side, where Nage presents the hand and Uke connects with the hand first and then grabs it around in order to hold, as opposed to just holding immediately. Now, once again, this is one of those things that has a valid functional element. We were saying if the Nage throws the hand with the intention of hitting Uke first must protect themselves before trying to find the grip. If the Uke tries to find the grip too quickly, it may miss the grip and the actual hand may connect. So there is an idea of protecting yourself first and then securing the grip. So that's from one element. Obviously, grips can happen regardless of how the exercise is being presented. But the idea was, protect yourselves first and then produce the grip. In Katate Dori, Yaku Hanmi and I Hanmi, that's not quite obvious. But remember, the basic presentation of Morote Dori is presenting with one hand, protecting, and then changing grab, and grabbing to the other side. The same thing with one hand, protecting, and then changing hand me in order to complete the morotedori. So the morotedori has those two sets, those two motions, so those two stages, very clearly defined. The stage of connecting with your partner, and then proceeding to move on the other side in order to grab, okay? Connecting with your partner and proceeding to move and grab. Katatedori, either Yakuhani or Aihanmi, sometimes is not as obvious, but it has the same things. You connect first and then grab around. You connect first for Aihanmi and then grab around and usually cuts down. So it's important to kind of remind ourselves of that. Remember that when Moreno Sensei, for example, practices with the tanto, we did this a lot last month. When Moreno Sensei practices with the tanto, you can just come here and just grab the tanto, right? So that's kind of the thing. Well, grab it so that you can do that gesture, no problem. But Sensei always reminds people to connect with the tanto first and then grab around your arm around it. Connect with the tanto first and then grab around your hands, your fingers around it. Okay, so it's a similar process of connecting with something and then coming and wrapping yourself around it, giving priority to the idea of connection more than to the idea of gripping with the fingers. Okay, so we were doing that, and then we perform a series of techniques, ikkyo, nikkyo, okay, etc. So let's just practice a couple that were a little bit giving us a little bit of grief. There's a moment when you end your asnage, you present, you're going to turn down around, and then here there is a tendency or the temptation to step back, which is fine, for certain techniques, but not for all, obviously not all techniques. So in this case, we're going to turn, and instead of stepping back, okay, we're just going to lead down, raise up, and come into ikkyo. So there is no stepping back in the ikkyo form. There is not so much absorbing in this direction. It is still moving in front of the body. Okay, so enter, turn, lower your body, down, up, and hinge, ikkyo. Okay, we'll just leave it in there for a moment. Present your hands from your heart, out, turn, don't step, lower your hips, up, and ikkyo. Side, present, turn, lower hips, guide in front of you, ikkyo. Present, turn, lower hips, up, ikkyo. Present, turn, lower hips, up, ikkyo. Present, turn, lower, up, ikkyo. Present, turn, lower, up, ikkyo. Present, turn, lower, up, and ikkyo. Presenting, turning, lowering, up, ikkyo. Remember, one of the most difficult things that happens, obviously, in any art, but especially, I guess, sometimes in Aikido, is the harmony or synchronicity of what's happening in your lower body with what's happening on your upper body. Okay, so in this case, for example, we present, just that gesture already. My body is down slightly, the gravity, my hands in front. Now, the power is going to come from the turn. But at the same time, the obligation is going to remain on the front hand to stay in front of my body. So I'm going to stay down and in front. Power comes from the turn, but the structure comes from the hand. The next motion is the same thing. Power comes from the dropping of the hips, but the structure comes from the hand. Power comes from the legs, but the structure stays on the hand. Power comes from the hinge, but the structure stays on the hand. So the power is coming from the lower body, but the upper body has the responsibility to keep the structure together. So all the life in that sense is coming from underneath, but the upper body keeps a very important responsibility, which is to not go all over the place, to keep things together, to keep things in front of me, okay? So in this case, remember that. Use your leg with confidence, with power, but also remind your upper body of its role of keeping things together in a frame, okay? So turning, down, up, and enter. So turning, down, up, enter. Turning, down, up, enter. Turning, down, up, enter. Couple more. Turn, down, up, enter. One more. Turn, down, up, enter. Right? So ultimately, the confident use of the lower body is what sometimes you will hear me refer as trust in your Taisabaki. Trust in your Taisabaki. So basically what that means is use your lower body with confidence, okay? The problem is that, when we use our lower body with confidence, we forget of the responsibility of the upper body. Or we forget to use the lower body, and then the upper body will do the job of strength and force, etc. So trusting on your Taisabaki is using the lower body with confidence, while at the same time, the upper body keeping the structure and the frame that is there to keep. All right. But now, then we move from Ikkyo to Nikkyo. So, to do that, you can have your tanto on the opposite, on the reverse side. You enter, turning again, lowering the lower body, opening, and this time pivoting and cutting. There. So, yeah, turning, as we did with Ikkyo, lowering, as we did with Ikkyo, entering, as we did with Ikkyo, but now the tanto is going to cut diagonally back to the other side, which is the Nikkyo form. Turn, lower, up, and on. Turn, lower, up, and cut. Turn, lower, up, cut. Turn, lower, up, cut. Turn, lower, up, cut. Enter, lower, up, cut. Yeah. So when we were practicing that, we were reminding ourselves of the admonition that Sensei has about Aikido techniques being cruel, because the application of the technique must happen at the point where the ukes, is more out of balance or more ungrounded. So remember how we say that when we practice our breathing, we practice the idea of being, balanced, and then we practice the idea of being grounded. So those two states of mind and of body are what we must always have in our training. But by virtue of the interaction, Naga's job is to upset uke's balance and groundness as much as possible, okay? To the point where it is most upset, then in that point, apply a technique. So that's why the technique will be cruel, because that person will be at his weakest in that moment. That's the idea, that's the theory. That's very difficult to do, but that's the theory, right? So in this case, there are three moments where that unbalancing, ungrounding happens. The first one, when you present with intention, uke should feel that and, have some reaction to that presentation. So that one. Number two, when you lower with intention, uke must also feel that and come down with that lowering. And then the third one, when you raise and enter one more time, in that moment, ideally the uke felt this in the first moments. Then the uke turn and you cut down, you feel that. And then you enter one more time and he felt that. In that moment is when you apply then the technique, in this case, Nikkyo, okay? So the idea is to try to keep that uke as off balance and as ungrounded as possible. And then it's uke's job to try to, prevent that from happening. And the whole game happens, right? So enter with intention. You visualize your uke receiving that. Turn, lower with intention. Up, enter again one more time with intention, and then cut. Enter with intention, turn, lower with intention, enter one more time with intention, and then apply. Okay? So, time for enter with intention, turn, lower with intention, enter one more time, and apply. Enter, turn, lower, so enter, and apply. So, enter, lower, up, enter, and apply. One more, enter, lower, enter, apply. Enter, lower, enter, apply. Yeah, so anyway, so the idea was to remind ourselves all the moments, from the moment of contact, to try to unbalance uke, and then from that first moment of unbalance and ungroundedness, continue maintaining and keeping uke somehow in that position. Okay, if we fail to do that, uke recovers their structure, and then the technique becomes well, as technique becomes meaningless, really, because then you are going to force your qualities of strength and speed, etc., over the person. So technique has kind of taken another side. But you successfully unbalance uke. Uke turns and gets unbalanced down. You enter again and you unbalance uke. And in that moment, the application happens, then that is a good experience. So let's just do the ukemi side for a second, just to remind, see what we will experience if a good nage is doing this. So the first motion, nage sends us back, okay? In second motion, nage turns, and we're going to come down as well. Third motion, nage is going to enter one more time. And in the fourth motion, nage is going to apply an EQ, okay? So in the first motion, nage enters, and we feel that intention. Nage turns and cuts, we feel that. Nage enters one more time, we feel that, and then Nage applies the technique of Nikyu. Okay? So Usushi 1, Usushi 2, Usushi 3, and application of Nikyu. Usushi 1, Usushi 2, Usushi 3, Nikyu. Last one, Usushi 1, Usushi 2, Usushi 3, and okay. So that's ideally what we should be trying to do, and ideally what Nage is trying, what Uke is feeling and receiving. Let's finish up with the other potential movement that we did with some of the techniques. It's going to start the same. You're going to enter, you're going to turn, but this time your leg and hand come down together. Okay, leg and hand will come down together. And then from there, any technique that a force comes in. We did kotegaeshi, we did iriminage, it could be shihonage. Let's just practice iriminage just for the simplicity of it. So your leg and hand are going to come down. You're going to control the spine of uke, and then you're going to come in and enter and apply. Okay, but this time you not only squat, you move your leg harmoniously with your arm when you do your application. So you enter, number one, you turn, number two, you step back and absorb, and then you enter. Enter, turn, step back and absorb, control the spine, and enter. Enter, turn, back and absorb, spine, and enter. Enter, turn, back and absorb, control, and enter. Enter, turn, back and absorb, control, and enter. There's one little notice with all techniques of this form. When you step back and absorb, and you absorb and you came down quite nicely low. Now, that's fine, that's great. The problem is the way up. You should not recover your hip all the way up to 100% because most likely the nage will recover the hip all the way now at 100%. Now, if you stay here very low down, it's very ugly too. It's like all constraining there. So raise your hip to a point where Nage can raise in order to receive the technique, but not entirely that Uke recovers entirely their structure. Okay, so you enter, she receives the entry, you turn, you cut, she becomes unbalanced by the lowering of the hips, you control her spine, your hips are still low, and then you enter here. Okay, so enter, turn, lower spine, lower hips, stay, lower down, and enter, turn, lower, spine, stay partially down, and enter. Enter, turn, down, partially down, and enter. Enter, turn, down, partially down, and enter. A couple more. Enter, turn, down, partially down, and enter. Right. Right. The difficulty of we coming up when our arm goes up comes from two reasons. Number one, from the arms influence, and second, for the demand of the legs. From the arm influence is because we can almost not stop ourselves. That our hand goes up, our head goes up, everything goes up with it. So that's the influence of the arm. So we have to create attention on that influence. The arm goes up, but the hips resist going as high as the arm. The arm goes really high, you know? The arm goes really high. Because this is what happens sometimes, which I've noticed as well. Because we force our hip to stay down, then the arm becomes little. And then we kind of contract in here. No. The arm goes up, but the hip resists the temptation of following the arm. The hip says, no, I am the one commanding the structure, so I stay down. You hand are not commanding the structure. Me, hip, I commanding that structure, I stay down, you go all the way up. So number one is the influence of the arm. Number two is the demand of the legs, because we know that we have to step at the end, or we want to step at the end. And there is a moment where if we are too low, the stepping is problematic or impossible in a certain sense sometimes. So we know that the higher we are, the easier the step is, right? So again, yes, and this is the balance and the practice that we need to have with our own body. How high can I come where the step is still possible, right? Without me necessarily giving up my entire. So there is the influence of the hand, and there is the need of the leg, both of them very legitimate, okay, which influence the level of our hip. It's just that in training, we need to be aware of that and resist the influence of the hand and give as much space as possible to the leg to move without losing entirely our structure. So just keep an eye on that next time that you're in the dojo, how much your arm is influencing your hip, how much your leg is telling you that you need to raise your hips, and find your own spot for that, okay? Which is up to us to practice. So let's finish with Unakogi, please. Barefoot in front. Ish. E, ho, e, ho, e, ho, e, ho, e, ho, e, go. Ish. Right foot in front. Ish. Yi, sa, I, 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 sa. Hey. So, Right. Hey. ありがとうございました。Thank you.